The city is gripped by fear. 3 victims in as many weeks, each death more disturbing than the last. The victims, seemingly unconnected, are found in isolated locations, their bodies posed in macabre tableaus. But the most chilling aspect is the messages, short, cryptic phrases scrawled near the bodies, hinting at a twisted ideology, a game of life and death. Reminds you of those online escape rooms, right? Except this is no game. The police are stumped. They're dealing with a ghost, a phantom killer who leaves no physical evidence. The messages are their only lead, but they're like trying to decipher a language no one understands. They're riddles wrapped in riddles, taunting the investigators, mocking their efforts. Special Agent Ava Thorne, a brilliant but troubled profiler, known for her uncanny ability to get inside the minds of killers, carries her own demons. A past case, a victim she couldn't save, haunts her every waking moment. She's assigned to the Shadow Stalker case, not just for her expertise, but because her superiors believe she's the only one who can catch this killer. They're right, but for all the wrong reasons. Ava immerses herself in the case, studying every detail, every nuance. She visits the crime scenes, not just to collect evidence, but to feel the presence of the killer, to understand their mindset. She pores over the cryptic messages, searching for a pattern, a hidden meaning. She knows the killer is communicating with her, playing a game of cat and mouse, and she's determined to win. The messages are a puzzle, a complex web of words and symbols. Ava consults with experts, trying to decipher the killer's twisted language. They analyze the handwriting, the phrasing, the symbolism. They discover that the messages are not random. They're carefully crafted, each word chosen with a specific purpose. They're clues, but clues that lead down a rabbit hole of darkness. The deeper Ava delves into the case, the more it consumes her. She's haunted by nightmares, tormented by visions of the victims. The killer's messages echo in her mind, taunting her, mocking her. Her own past failures resurface, fueling her self-doubt, pushing her to the edge. Ava feels the constant presence of being watched, the unsettling feeling that the killer is always one step ahead. She's starting to question her own sanity, wondering if she's losing herself in the darkness. Is she the hunter, or is she the hunted? Ava discovers a hidden pattern in the messages, a series of numbers that correspond to specific locations in the city. She realizes the killer is planning their next move. But where and when? The numbers are a map, a trail of breadcrumbs left by the killer. Ava races against time, following the clues, trying to anticipate their next move. The city is on edge, gripped by fear and uncertainty. The media is in a frenzy, reporting every detail, fueling the public's anxiety. Each location reveals another message, another riddle, another piece of the puzzle. Ava is getting closer to the killer, but the killer is also getting closer to her. They're playing a deadly game of cat and mouse, a game where the stakes are life and death. Ava's past failure haunts her, reminding her of her own vulnerability. She knows she can't afford to make another mistake. She has to catch this killer, not just for the victims, but for herself, for her own redemption. The killer's messages reveal a twisted ideology, a warped sense of justice. They see themselves as a predator, hunting the weak, punishing the guilty. They're playing God, deciding who lives and who dies. Ava has a breakthrough, realizing the connection between the victims, a common thread that links them together. It's a seemingly insignificant detail, something that everyone else has overlooked. But it's the key to understanding the killer's motive, their twisted logic. It's a small, almost invisible scar on each of the victims, a mark that could easily be mistaken for a birthmark. But Ava's sharp eye notices that it's too perfectly formed, too deliberately placed. It's the same mark on each victim, a symbol. But of what? Ava confronts her own demons, facing her past failures, accepting her vulnerabilities. She realizes that she can't fight the darkness alone, that she needs to let go of her guilt and embrace her strength. She's learning to trust her instincts, to rely on her intuition, to become the hunter she needs to be. Ava realizes that the killer is not just playing a game with the authorities, but with her specifically. They're taunting her, challenging her, trying to break her. They're pushing her to the edge, trying to make her snap. They're leaving messages that seem to speak directly to her, referencing details from her past, things only she and the killer could know. It's as if they're inside her head, watching her every move. Ava has a vision, a premonition of the killer's next target. It's someone close to her, someone she cares about, her partner, Detective Michael Davies. She sees him trapped, cornered, the killer's shadow looming over him. She sees the killer raise a hand, a glint of steel flashing in the darkness. The killer is escalating the game, making it personal. They're no longer just hunting strangers. They're targeting Ava's world, her life, her sanity. They're trying to draw her into the darkness, to make her one of them. Ava races to find Davies, her heart pounding with dread. She knows she's running out of time. The killer is close. Too close. She arrives at the location from her vision, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The air is thick with tension, the silence broken only by the sound of her own breathing. She draws her weapon, her senses on high alert. She finds Davies tied to a chair, his face pale, his eyes filled with terror. The killer is nowhere to be seen. "He's here," Davies whispers, his voice trembling. "I can feel him." Ava scans the shadows, searching for any sign of the killer. But they're invisible, a phantom lurking in the darkness. And then she sees it, a message scrawled on the wall in blood. "You can't save him," it reads. "He's mine now." A chilling laugh echoes through the warehouse. The killer has revealed themselves. But it's not who Ava expected. It's not a man. It's a woman with familiar eyes, a face that Ava knows all too well. It's Sarah, her sister, the sister who disappeared years ago, the sister who Ava thought was dead. "Sarah," Ava whispers, her voice filled with disbelief. Sarah smiles, a cruel, twisted smile. "Hello, Ava," she says. "Did you miss me?" The truth crashes down on Ava like a tidal wave. Sarah isn't just alive. She's a shadow stalker. She's been playing a game with Ava all along, manipulating her, using her own guilt and grief against her. "Why?" Ava asks, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah's eyes flash with anger, with resentment, with a deep-seated hatred. "You abandoned me," she says. "You left me to die." Ava is stunned. "I didn't abandon you," she says. "I searched for you. I never gave up hope." "Liar," Sarah screams. "You left me in the dark, just like everyone else." Ava realizes the truth. Sarah isn't just a killer. She's a victim of a traumatic event in their childhood, an event that Ava has tried to forget, an event that Sarah has never been able to let go of. It was a night when they were both lost in the woods, a night when they encountered something terrifying, something that changed Sarah forever. Sarah believes that Ava abandoned her that night, left her to face the darkness alone. She's been consumed by revenge, driven by a need to punish Ava for her perceived betrayal. "I'm not the one who abandoned you," Ava says, her voice filled with pain. "You abandoned me. You abandoned our family." Sarah laughs, a hysterical, chilling laugh. "Family," she says. "You talk about family? You left me to rot, and now you pretend to care?" Ava knows she has to reach Sarah, to break through her anger, to remind her of the sister she once knew. But Sarah is too far gone, lost in her own twisted reality. "It's too late, Ava," Sarah says. "I've already won. You can't stop me." She raises her hand, revealing a knife. She lunges at Davies, ready to finish what she started. Ava screams, throwing herself in front of Davies, taking the blow herself. The knife pierces her flesh, the pain searing through her body. She collapses to the ground, her vision blurring. Sarah stands over her, her eyes filled with a mixture of triumph and despair. "Now we're even," she whispers. And then, Sarah's triumph is short-lived. As Ava falls, she grabs Sarah's wrist, twisting it sharply. The knife clatters to the floor. Sarah cries out in pain, stumbling back. Ava, despite the agonizing wound, pushes herself up, fueled by adrenaline and a desperate need to survive. "We're not even," Ava gasps, her voice ragged. "You're the one who chose this, Sarah. You chose the darkness." Sarah's face crumples, the mask of coldness cracking. For a fleeting moment, Ava sees her sister, the vulnerable girl lost in the woods. But the darkness quickly returns, hardening her features. "You can't understand," Sarah whispers, her voice laced with desperation. "What we saw that night, it changed me." "I know," Ava says softly, taking a step toward Sarah. "It changed both of us. But we don't have to let it define us." Sarah shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "It's too late," she sobs. "I've done too much." Suddenly, sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Davies, regaining his composure, had managed to trigger a silent alarm. The warehouse doors burst open, and police officers swarm inside, weapons drawn. Sarah looks around, her eyes wide with panic. She knows she's trapped. She glances at Ava, a flicker of understanding passing between them. Then, in a move that shocks everyone, she lunges at a nearby window, smashing through the glass and disappearing into the night. Ava watches her sister go, a wave of conflicting emotions washing over her. Relief that Davies is safe, grief for the sister she's lost, and a gnawing fear that Sarah is still out there, a phantom lurking in the shadows. The police begin their search, but Sarah is gone, vanished into the labyrinthine streets of the city. The shadow stalker has escaped. In the aftermath, Ava is left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. The physical wound heals, but the emotional scars remain, a constant reminder of her sister's descent into darkness. She knows that Sarah will never truly be caught, not by the police, not by anyone, because the real prison isn't made of bars. It's the darkness within. The case of the shadow stalker is closed, but for Ava, it's far from over. She's left with unanswered questions, with the haunting memory of her sister's face, contorted by pain and rage. She knows that Sarah is still out there, a shadow lurking in the corners of her mind, a constant reminder of the darkness that lies within us all. The city breathes a collective sigh of relief, believing the nightmare is over. But Ava knows the truth. The game is not over. It's simply paused. And somewhere in the shadows, Sarah is waiting, watching, planning her next move. The hunt will continue,